Welcome to the Rose at Home channel. I'm Rose and I am so incredibly glad that you have decided to join me today when I unbox this gargantuan size box from Book of the Month. And if you are unsure as to how I ended up with such a large box, this is now my fourth box from Book of the Month. In my past video when I talked about if it's worth it, I explained this in more detail. So if you need that, please go back and watch that video. But when you get your first box, you get it at a very good price, but you can only get one book from that month's selections. For the next two boxes, you can add 2 add-on books, but after that point, you are now friends with Book of the Month, and they have just increased the size of the number of books a friend can order from 2 add-ons to 4. And once you're friends, the price drops. So each of the add-ons in my box were only $11.99 a piece, which is better than getting a new paperback. So I'm super excited. I can't wait to open this. When I heard it get dropped at my front door, I was like, yes, let's get started. So I have my box cutter. I am not sure how to open this, but I'm gonna figure. Okay, I see it. I'm not gonna hold it up because I gotta cut it at the part with my address, and yeah, I like y'all, but not enough for you to come to my house. No offense. So, okay, let's see if that did anything. Yes, okay. Okay. It's always like Christmas with Book of the Month. That's one of my favorite things about it. So, ooh. The first book is the book that got right on top is the one from this month that I had picked as my main pick. Now, there are 2 books that were available this month that I was very interested in, but I didn't order, and I'm going to talk about those first. The new Megan Golden book, the sequel to Night Swim, was one of the options, and the reason I didn't pick it up, even though it went in and out of my box a couple of times, the reason I didn't pick it up though is because I haven't read anything from her yet, and that being the second book, I can get both of them from Book of the Month. They now have the second book, and they did offer the first book when it first came out, so I can do it as an add-on, but I don't want to now I have that with a few authors where I have multiple books from them, but I haven't read any. So that is part of why Megan Golden is in this month's TBR. So if I like it, I can go back and as add-ons, add those 2 for that new Megan Golden series. The other thing that I really wanted but didn't get was the new Chloe Gong book, which is not going to come out in regular stores until the end of the month. The reason that I didn't get that one, even though that was my top thing that I was most interested in, is because it's the first book in a series, and you guys know I use my books as decor just as much as anything else. I love covers. One of the things I do love about Book of the Month is the cover is the same, but it does have the Book of the Month little stickery thing on it, and because of that, I didn't want to get the first book in this series with the Book of the Month sticker on it, and then if Book of the Month doesn't offer the rest of the series, then I won't have a matching set. And so I decided I'm going to hold off on that one, and I'm going to go a different way. So the book that I ended up picking from this month's selections is The Connellys of County Down by Tracey Lange. This is the same person who wrote We Are the Brennans, which is still on my TBR, but I haven't purchased that one yet. If I end up loving this one, that's another one that I can get from backlist of Book of the Month because they also have that. So this sounded amazing and great family story set in Ireland. Let me give you the synopsis. When Tara Connelly is released from prison after serving 18 months on a drug charge, she knows rebuilding her life at 30 years old won't be easy. With no money and no prospects, she returns home to live with her siblings, who are both busy with their own problems. Her brother, a single dad, struggles with the ongoing effects of a brain injury he sustained years ago, and his sister's fragile facade of calm and order is cracking under the burden of big secrets. Life becomes even more complicated when the cop who put Tara in prison keeps showing up unannounced, leaving her to wonder what he wants from her now. While she works to build a new career and hold her family together, Tara finds the chance at love in a most unlikely place. But when the Connellys' secrets start to unravel and threaten her future, they all must face their worst fears and come clean or risk losing each other forever. The Connellys of County Down is a moving novel about testing the bounds of love and loyalty. It explores the possibility of beginning our lives anew and reveals the pitfalls of shielding one another from the bitter truth. So, family saga, lots of stuff going on, probably very literary fiction, and I am for it, and I am super excited to get to read it. So yes, first pick from Book of the Month. Okay, my second pick is an add-on that came on for this month. So when you do Book of the Month, if you didn't know, they have like 5 to 6 books which are the big pick, and then there are some that are never the main pick, but it's considered an add-on. So you do have to get something from the other ones in order to add these on. And this came out as an add-on in the middle of the month last month, and I didn't know that they did that, and I'm not sure how you get it, because once you get your book for that, your box for that month, you're done. Like, there's no kind of adding or ordering additional books in the month, so I guess it's just for people who didn't order at the beginning. I don't know. I don't know the thought process for that, but this was one that I was on the fence on. But since I could get it for the add-on price, even though like it's available at Target, it's available lots of places, but the add-on price for $11.99 I thought it'd be worth it, especially because from what I hear, it's more reminiscent of his older things than his most recent things, and that is Riley Sager's The Only One Left. I really liked the first few Riley Sager books that I read, but I didn't care too much for the last few. I didn't like the Lock Every Door, and I didn't like the glow-in-the-dark one. I didn't like the last 2 that I had read, and so I kind of thought I was gonna maybe stop getting them, but for this price I'm gonna give it a shot, and it sounds really interesting, and if it really is as good as like Final Girls and those first few that I read, then I'm gonna enjoy it. So let me give you the synopsis. At 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope. Now reduced to a schoolyard chant, the Hope family murder shocked the Maine coast one bloody night in 1929. While most people assume 17-year-old Lenora was responsible, the police were never able to prove it. Other than her denial after the killings, she has never spoken publicly about that night, nor has she set foot outside Hope's End, the cliffside mansion where the massacre occurred. It's now 1983, and home health aide Kit McDeer arrives at a decaying Hope's End to care for Lenora after her previous nurse fled in the middle of the night. In her 70s and confined to a wheelchair, Lenora was rendered mute by a series of strokes and can only communicate with Kit by tapping out sentences on an old typewriter. One night, Lenora uses it to make a tantalizing offer. I want to tell you everything. As Kit helps Lenora write about the events leading to the Hope's family massacre, it becomes clear there's more to the tale than people know. But when new details about her predecessor's departure comes to light, Kit starts to suspect Lenora might not be telling the complete truth, and that the seemingly harmless woman in her care could be far more dangerous than she first thought. So that sounds absolutely amazing. I'm really excited to give it a shot. I'm not as excited as I would have been had I not read those last 2, but I'm still like, this might be a Riley Sager goes back on the must-buy list after this. Okay, the next one I think was on the add-ons from last month. I don't think it was on this month's add-ons, but it sounded really good and absolutely 100% up my alley. And it's called My Murder by Katie Williams. And from what I understand, it is about a woman who is murdered and then brought back and then has to kind of solve her own murder. Let me give you the synopsis. What if the murder you had to solve was your own? Lou is a happily married woman of an adorable toddler. She's also the victim of a local serial killer. Recently brought back to life and returned to her grieving family by a government project, she is grateful for this second chance. But as the new Lou adapts to her old routines, and as she bonds with other female survivors, she realizes that disturbing questions remain about what exactly preceded her death, and how much can she really trust those around her. Now it's not enough to care for her child, love her husband, and do the work she's always enjoyed. She must also figure out the circumstances of her death. Darkly comic, tautly paced, and full of surprises, My Murder is a clever, devour-in-one-sitting twist on the classic thriller. That sounds awesome. That sounds so good. I don't know how she comes back. Like, I don't know what's going on with all of that and how they do it, but I can't wait to find out. I think this is going to be way, way, way fun. So like I said, I filled the box this time. I used up all my spaces, and part of that was because there were 2 books the month before the month I started, that I really wanted as well. And I didn't if you remember, I think I talked about this in another video, I didn't realize you couldn't do add-ons with your first box. You could only get your main book. And so these were the 2 things I had wanted to also get with that first box and didn't. So now that I could stuff the box with 4 add-ons, I went back and added them both. And I'm so excited to have them. The first is Lone Woman by Victor LaValle. I am so excited for this. Like I said, I've been wanting to read this since it came out, and I'm so glad to have it now. It is horror and kind of literary horror, I think is the category that I understand it to be in. And I normally don't do a lot of horror, but the thought of literary horror makes me feel very happy. Okay. Adelaide Henry carries an enormous steamer trunk with her wherever she goes. It's locked at all times, because when the trunk opens, people around Adelaide start to disappear. The year is 1915, and Adelaide is in trouble. Her secret sin killed her parents, forcing her to flee California in a hellfire rush to make her way to Montana as a homesteader. Dragging the trunk with her at every stop, she will become one of the lone women, taking advantage of the government's offer of free land for those who came to tame it. Except that Adelaide isn't alone, and the secret she's tried so desperately to lock away might be the only thing that will help her survive the harsh territory. Crafted by a modern master of magical suspense, Lone Woman blends shimmering prose and unforgettable cast of adventurers who find horror and sisterhood in a brutal landscape and a portrait of early 20th century America like you have never seen. And at its heart is the gripping story of a woman desperate to bury her past or redeem it. That sounds amazing. That sounds so amazing. I'm so very excited for this. I have a feeling this is going to be an October read just because monsters and all of that. I feel like it's going to really fit once fall gets here, but I'm so excited to finally have it myself. And the last thing I got, which again, I really, really wanted and was a little annoyed that I couldn't get it with that first box, but I'm so glad to have it now. And this might end up on next month's TBR just because the water and the kind of beachy look of the cover is Sally Hepworth's The Soulmate. I'm so excited for this one. It sounds amazing. It's very kind of mystery-esque, what's going on, thrillery. Okay. Prepare yourself for a thrilling, addictive novel about marriage, betrayal, and the secrets that pushes to the edge in this latest book by the best-selling author of The Good Sister and The Younger Wife. Picture a lovely cottage on a cliff with sloping lawns, walking paths, and beautiful flowers. It's Gabe and Pippa Wright's dream house on a sleepy coastal town, but their perfect house hides something sinister. The tall cliffs have become a popular spot for people to end their lives. Over the past several months, Gabe comes to their rescue, literally talking them off the ledge, until one day, he doesn't. When Pippa discovers Gabe knew the victim, the questions spiral. Did the victim jump? Was she pushed? And would Gabe, the love of Pippa's life, her soulmate, lie? As the perfect facade of their marriage begins to crack, the deepest and darkest secrets begin to unravel, because sometimes the most convincing lies are the ones we tell ourselves, and that just sounds so good. I can't wait for this one. So if you are thinking about joining Book of the Month and you were on the fence, I'm going to leave a video right here where I talk about my experiences from the first 3 months, and hopefully you're going to be able to watch that one. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I hope you get to read some amazing books. Bye, y'all.